Welcome back for another video with the Cash Flow Apprentice. My name is Jaleesa, and today I'm covering Tax and Legal Day 2. This is a two-part class that we've taken in our Tax and Legal series, and I can't wait to tell you all the great details. Now, before we get started, I want to talk about the first 5 classes that we covered already, and then we'll jump right into today's Tax and Legal Day 2. All right, so we've already covered now 5 classes over the last 10 weeks. Crazy, right? The first class that we took was Real Estate Essentials. This was the introductory class to real estate investing and the real estate market. And so Hugh Zaretsky helped us understand how to formulate a real estate business, and more importantly, how to find deals, how to analyze deals, and how to make offers confidently in the market. Then he took us over to real estate marketing. Now, this class was all about how to get people finding you, how to craft messages to attract the right person you want to do business with. And then he helped us explore a variety of different mediums that we can leverage to get our message out there, to let people know that we're in business and let them know what products and services that we have to offer. Then we went over to credit management. Credit management is all about what I refer to as our financial reputation. And Eric helped us understand what is credit, how to build credibility with others, with financial institutions, with credit bureaus to enhance our credit score to leverage in business. And so he helps us understand how to weather the storms of utilizing our credit, paying it off, and how we can be successful in managing it all at the same time. And then that brought us to Tax and Legal Day 1. This is a 2-part class, which we're covering the second part in just a second. But in Tax and Legal Day 1, Mark Kohler helps us understand what is the blueprint of his successful clients that leverage successfully real estate holdings and businesses. Okay, so he helps us understand what kind of entities to operate out of, how to protect ourselves, our assets, and our business, and those who we're doing business with. And then a whole variety of other things that we can associate within the tax and legal realm. And so now we're getting into Tax and Legal Day 2, and I can't wait to share some of the secrets and goodies that Mark shared with us. Let's go. Okay, so week 9, week 10 are complete. We are now halfway through our Essentials study group for the fall session, and we wrapped up with Tax and Legal Day 2. Now, Tax and Legal Day 2 is brought to us again by Mark Kohler. Mark Kohler is amazing in the fact that he's actually one of our favorite instructors within the entire education suite. Now, Mark Kohler, he is a successful CPA, an attorney, podcast host, radio host, YouTube sensation. The list kind of goes on from there, but he's a well-respected authority in the space of small business, tax, and legal settings. And so it's a privilege to have Mark Kohler as an instructor on this panel and to be able to share some valuable information with us over the last 16 hours of content that he delivered, giving us tax and legal both day 1 and day 2. So let's talk about some of the learning objectives for this particular class. I want to show you what the learning objectives from Tax and Legal Day 1 was, so you can see how the class progressed into Day 2. And so for Tax and Legal Day 1, here's what we looked at. In the class, he talked about small business basics and write-offs. We went over entity options to operate your business. We further talked about rental real estate and advanced sale of property tax strategies. And then we further went into asset protection from business operations and for our assets. And so from there, we went into Tax and Legal Day 2 now. Number 1 was investing profits and introducing self-directed IRA. The second point was healthcare tax and cost-saving strategies. Number 3 was the identity theft protection, and 4 was estate planning and leaving a legacy. So what are some study tips? Well, going through this class, one of the things that I know about Mark is that he's extremely detailed. And so first I went straight over to the PowerPoint. I looked at the slides and saw what kind of content that we're going to be covering and how I can better be able to organize my notes to take as many notes as possible. And so now that I'm familiar with the context of where we're going for that day as far as material goes, now I'm ready to understand where to fill in the blanks in my notes. And so as he's taking the class, I have the PowerPoint slides in front of me. That way I can fill in the blank as he's sharing different stories, giving examples, and answering the audience questions that may pertain to information about the class. Tax and Legal Day 2 summary. If I had to summarize tax and legal. First, I want to talk about tax and legal day one. It was all about the proper framework of his successful clients that leverage both tax and legal strategies within their business and real estate holdings. And so he helps us understand what kind of freedoms they have and that they enjoy, what kind of flexibility, what kind of lifestyle that these individuals now are able to enjoy. So when we get over to tax and legal day two, he helps us understand, and by summarizing the class, tax and legal day two helps us understand what kind of wealth vehicles we can operate in, and more so how we can protect the wealth that we're building. Okay, so how we're able to take care of our health, how we're able to invest in real estate to now take care of our health, how we're able to protect our identity, how we're able to protect our privacy, and then more so how we're able to protect and also how we're able to preserve our legacy going forward. And so we do a lot of work on the back end, understanding trust, wills, and not only how we're able to leave our legacy behind, but how we're able to direct our wealth from the grave, as he says. And so let's go ahead and jump into the next section. All right, study group mastermind takeaways. Thursdays are my favorite day of the week because I get to hang out with an educated group of real estate investors where we get together to learn together. We're sharing different things that we're learning in the class. We're collaborating. There's individuals that are working together on different deals. So there's a lot of things that are happening in our study groups. With this being the halfway mark in our essential study group class, this was more of a midway checkup for us. Now, the last 10 weeks or so, we've been focusing in on drilling in on different topics that we wanted to master from the 8 hours of material that we're taking. So in study groups, we focus in on wealth building vehicles that we can leverage, and then also understanding how to properly plan for our healthcare. So when looking at different wealth building vehicles, such as retirement plans and even healthcare plans, right? What are some different ways that you may be getting taxed by contributing to that plan? When growing that plan, are you getting taxed? And then also, if you want to access that money or take it out, are you getting taxed then? And so we looked at a variety of different wealth building vehicles that may have gotten taxed on the way in, but didn't tax on the way out. Or they may have been taxing your growth as you were growing your plan. And so we identified which of the plans were best for real estate investors to check out and business owners to be able to really grow their wealth over a substantial period of time. Then we also looked at healthcare plans. And so he helped us understand who's really impacted by some of the governmental changes within our healthcare here in the USA. And then he also helped us understand how to avoid penalties. Okay, there are some rules that have come out over the last few years that if you don't follow them, you could be exposed to a penalty through the healthcare system. The second part that we really focused in on was healthcare planning. And so we looked at who really is affected by some of the changes that have happened over the last few years or so within the healthcare world. Who exactly is getting the brunt of it, if you will, right? And then we further looked into how to avoid penalties. If you don't follow some of the laws that they've rolled out over the last few years or so, you could be exposed to an actual penalty. Okay? And so we looked at what are some different ways that we could be in control of our own healthcare. We started looking at some different plans like HSAs and HRAs and seeing which of these plans will fit us as an individual or as a business owner. And so now we're able to utilize these vehicles like investment vehicles as well. And so we focused in on how we're able to put a rental property into our HSA account. And now every time that renter is paying their rent for the month, it's growing by X amount of dollars. And so if my HSA is growing by $1,000 per month, right? By the end of the year, I have about $12,000 in there. Now I'm able to utilize that plan to pay for my prescriptions, to pay for co-pays, or to pay for doctor and dentist visits, right? And so now I'm utilizing real estate and paying for the different expenses on the healthcare side. So this is a concept we started exploring. Now we can utilize real estate to pay for a vehicle every month, to pay for the monthly payments on it, right? Maybe we want to use real estate to fund a different venture that we're looking to do, or to expose ourselves to another hobby that we want to check out. And so then we got into how to structure our life for success, leveraging real estate and the cash flow that it brings from it. So in study groups, we had a phenomenal time. Now it's time for the Epiphany Symphony. What I love about this class is that Mark beat me to it. At the end of this class, he actually provided 10 takeaways that we needed to take from the class. So let me go ahead and share that with you so you can see how much value we got in these 16 hours of tax and legal training. Number 1 was to develop our 10-year goal, 5-year goal, 3-year goal, and 1-year goal. And he referred to these as BHAG, or your big, hairy, audacious goals. Then we talked about putting together a board of advisors that meets on a regular quarterly basis minimum. We talked about having a journal and a calendar to be able to track your progress of your business along the way. Talked about creating a strategy plan of how you're going to make money. Talked about tracking your expenses to maximize your tax savings at the end of the year. We talked about keeping receipts up to 6 years so we can verify any purchases that we've made during that time. We talked about having an insurance review, making sure that we are covered in the areas that we need to be and that we're not double paying for things along the way. We also talked about having a tax and legal review to review our legal setup, our tax setup, to make sure we're structured for success. Talked about building an emergency fund, putting away at least $1,000, and getting on the track of creating a debt snowball for ourselves if you are in a position where you need to pay off debt. And then lastly, we wrapped up with a will. Everyone needs a will to be able to take care of your assets and things and valuables after you pass away, okay? It's a wrap. This is my wealth real estate action plan. Now that I know better, how am I going to do better? How am I going to implement this material? And so some of my key takeaways that I took away from this that I can implement right away. The first thing that I want to do is to put together a plan to grow my HSA. I want to be able to get a rental property in there that starts contributing rent on a regular basis. Especially as we're looking into expanding our family, I think that will be a huge asset for us to now have a consistent growth pattern in place for our health care cost. The second thing that I wanted to look at was to put together a plan to now direct and plan for our assets for that time where we're no longer here anymore, right? We don't like to talk about it. Many people don't like to plan for it, but it definitely is necessary. And so Mark advises for everyone to at least establish a will, okay? This makes it a lot more easier in understanding how you wanted your wealth directed once you pass away. So next, I wanted to establish a legacy plan of how I can help those who are coming after me be successful, help them understand what kind of blueprint that I have in place, that I built in place, leveraging this wealth education that I am going through in this series of how they can be able to get access to it, how they can leverage it and be able to grow it from generation to generation. And so thank you for tuning in with me. I appreciate you all for checking in and checking out our videos on a regular basis. If you can like, share, comment, subscribe, do whatever you need to do and stay plugged in. And I can't wait to see you on the next video. Take care.